Welcome to Retro Handhelds Dumpster Fire Edition this time, I guess. That goes for this particular device, the Miniloong Pocket 1. This is the third video I make on this device, and you might have seen the first one, but not the second one. Because I went hard on this device. It was awful, an awful experience, and it was all about the firmware in this device. But then there was a firmware update, so I downloaded it, and it took 10 hours and 40 minutes, and it was bad. But then there was another firmware update, and that one took over 33 hours to download. 33 hours. And it's even worse. So, yeah, I want to warn you, and I wanted it to be as soon as possible before you spend money, coupons, coins, offers, whatever. Do not buy this device. Don't buy it. Not until or unless prices go down and there is proper firmware for it. Firmware with the bare minimum functionality we should be expecting from all these devices. So let's talk about it. Hi everyone, welcome to the lab. This is Sept. As always, safety first. Safety tip of the day. Look before you jump, think before you act, and please, put the pin back in that grenade. Be careful, be safe. So, let's jump right in. The Miniloong Pocket 1. The hardware is fine. It's not awful, it's not terrible, it's not outstanding. The acrylic panel has cracks, especially near the small buttons. I mentioned it in the previous video about it, well, the first video. And it gets dirty pretty easily. Also, the back gets dirty pretty easily just by touching it, fingerprint magnet. And the plastic is kind of soft. My unit got a scratch during transit because of the USB cable. It got scratched. Not a big deal, but yeah, not great plastic either. So, saying that, it should be clear this is not a device you could give to a kid. Makes no sense. And taking the price into account, regular price is over 80 euros, and if you want the extra D-pad and the screen protector and a case, it goes for over 30 euro, 130 euros. Sorry, 130. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It makes no sense. So, be it the materials, if a kid drops this, it's gonna blow up in pieces. And given the price, you would not give this to a kid. So, restricting user configurability, removing options from a user, could possibly perhaps make sense if you're giving this to a kid and you don't want that kid to mess things up if that kid goes in the menu and changes something. That could possibly make sense. But I guess we agree, be it the materials, be it the price, this is not a device you would give to a kid. So why are the developers of LoongOS removing options from us, users, customers? It really infuriates me. And also, the way they're removing some of those options is especially disgusting. Meaning, there is an option to choose from one of two menus. One is called Simple Menu, the other one is RetroArch, straight RetroArch. You launch a game from the front end, and in the middle of a game, you hit this button and you can get a menu. You can choose Simple Menu or RetroArch. If you choose RetroArch and you change things like integer scaling, aspect ratio, shaders, whatever, the options that are set in the simple menu will prevail. Whatever you choose, whatever you configure, whatever you save as configuration file or override will be ignored. And that is unacceptable. Also, you're gonna love this. This is a Rumble motor. If I recall, it's over here. And it's good Rumble. I have applied a piece of low density foam to make it rumble better and not sound so loud, but I think you can hear it. And in I think it's the latest system upgrade, it was disabled system-wide. Why? Because the developers know better. Yeah, who are you to wish for rumble in a device that has a rumble motor? No, the developers know better. So let me show you something. I own this game, so Nintendo, don't come after me. There's no need. Let's go to options, and Rumble is on. Off? The moment I turn it back on, it should sound. The motor should start spinning. And it's not. Nope. Nope. The options for the core are set right. I did it myself. So, yeah. Now I want you to listen to this, because this is amazing. You might not know that there are things in life that have been designed on purpose to be annoying. And it does make sense. Well, most of times. For instance, when certain vehicles move backwards, they make a beeping noise. Beep, 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 beep. And that noise has been scientifically designed to be annoying. To annoy you, so you will notice and you will get out of the way. I believe the volume change sound in this device has been designed with the same principle in mind, to be annoying. And that sound comes from the operating system, not RetroArch, so we cannot change it. Now the volume is low. I will increase the volume to the top. And when I reach the top, the rumble goes off. There's rumble here, and it could work if the developers wanted it to work. Now I will go back down. This is no volume. And now, hey, how about it? It's got rumble. But the developers of the operating system, the firmware of this device, they don't want you to use rumble because they know better. Even if I set the core options to use rumble, which they are, they won't let me use rumble. Okay, this is controls. Sorry, from this angle it's kind of hard to see it. So, system, nope. Input, yeah. Here it is. Rumble is on. It's not working because the developers of the operating system in this device don't want you to have rumble. Why? Who knows? Who cares? Yeah. And that's not the worst part, actually. I want you to notice the aspect ratio is fine, meaning this is the aspect ratio I've set, which is integer scale, not overscaled, just aspect ratio 1:1. And now let's get out of here. There we go, exit. And let's try launching another GBC game or the same, it doesn't matter, from the front end. Okay? Game Boy Color. it should have exactly the same configuration you have just seen. Okay? Loading screen. Full aspect ratio. Actually, it's config 1.33, which is 4/3. Makes no sense. Why? Don't know. Any configuration I set up here, any override, any save config file will be overridden by the simple menu, even when the simple menu is deactivated. Same as the volume sound. That's a system setting. Same as the rumble disabled, unless you reach a top or bottom volume. Inconsistent, stupid. I don't quite get it. And I don't want to get it. I really don't. Just so you know, if you come to device info, firmware version, you come here, and you give it a while when you're connected to Wi-Fi, which I am. And if there is an update, it will show up here with a big button that will say download. Yeah, plug it in, deactivate the screensaver, because if the screensaver goes off, it will stop downloading. Yeah, so you'll have to leave the device on, plugged in for hours. So yeah, you should also lower the screen brightness, because that can hurt the screen. It's a mess. But it gets even worse. It's got no file browser. You cannot change the theme. You cannot install or use Portmaster here. You simply can't. It's extremely, extremely stupid. This device has the same CPU. This is a R46S, I believe, or H. It's kind of old, and I've modded it. I removed the joysticks, and yeah, those are front-facing speakers, because I wanted to. I wasn't using the joysticks anyway, so... also, those are GBP buttons from the Pocket, not the color. Portmaster works like a charm. It could work like a charm here, with a different screen. Same memory, same CPU. They decided, no, users should not be using Portmaster. That's no. That's a no-go. Why? They know better. We're not kids, but they know better. Also, the SD card is a clone from the R36S clones. If you own this device, take it out and look in the Launch Images folder. You will find an image with the R36S logo from the clone family. The red one with, I guess it's a snake or something in red. This is awful. I cannot customize this device, but the only way I can barely use it is if, whenever I turn it on, I hit R1, I come to the last option and choose the last option. Oh yeah, in the latest update, they gave us Willy Willy. Who cares? So I get to RetroArch, I launch it, and then I can kind of use it. So what's the point in having the rest of the front-end operating system, whatever you want to call it? Makes no sense. This is not the way you use any of these devices. That's not how it works. And this does not work for me. And it should not work for you. You should be able to use the core you want to launch the content you want. you should not be discarding something you cannot change, which is the front end or the operating system, to just get to RetroArch and use RetroArch as your front end. Just like this. Oh, I want to launch a Game Boy game. Yeah. Turn on the device, launch RetroArch, scan devices, scan folders, whatever, find the ROMs, and set them up here. This is 2021, Moonscape by Mike Yamato. Great game. Check it out. itch.io. And here it does remember the overrides. It does remember the configuration, the aspect ratio, the controls, the everything. Here it works as intended. So what's the point in me having to get to RetroArch to do RetroArch things instead of having a front end that does it, like here or here with PlumOS, or here with a different version of PlumOS, or here with MUOS. Well, let's talk about MUOS now. Yeah, MUOS and TrimUI. This device has really opened my eyes, because this problem I'm having here, I first noticed something very similar over here in the TrimUI Smart Pro. I heard there was a version of Newbie, which I had tried before. It's not like I disliked it, but yeah. And I hadn't tried it in the TrimUI Smart Pro, so I gave it a try. And I did what I often do. I go to RetroArch, I set it up with aspect ratio, shader, you name it. And I went back to the front end and tried launching games from it. And my configuration was lost. Same as here. Yeah, turns out they had added one extra step, one intermediary, one option in the front end to configure aspect ratios and such, which was kind of limiting. And I had to learn how to use that instead of having the system respect what I have been doing for years with RetroArch. Didn't sit right well with me, so I took Newbie out. I never looked back at it. Not that I don't respect the developers of Newbie. I strongly, highly appreciate the effort, the passion, the time they put into making Newbie. Same goes for MUOS. Same goes for Gamma. My man. Point is, RetroArch is standard, and the options users set up in RetroArch should not be ignored or overridden, or, as someone said, repressed. Because I had a problem with an SD card reader, and it ate several SD cards, micro SD cards, two of which were the ones I was using in these two devices, and they had MUOS in them. So I got me some new SD cards, and I told myself, why not try the latest and greatest MUOS version? Yeah, latest and greatest. Subscribe to Mr. Sujano. And I did so. And I was aware that there was a blog post talking about my configuration is being repressed, and I knew there was a toggle about RetroArch freedom. So I used the toggle. I enabled RetroArch freedom. And MUOS did not respect my choice. My configuration was being repressed, and I tried in both devices, and it didn't work. So I downloaded the previous version, and I tried, and it didn't work. So I downloaded the previous version, and the previous version, and so on and so forth, until I found a version that did not have that toggle, so my configuration was not being repressed. I understand the developers of MUOS were facing, let's say, nastiness from uncultured individuals who were encountering problems because they were touching things they did not understand and were demanding changes instead of asking for help. And I want to tell the developers of MUOS or newbie or any operating system for these devices, guys, how about you write a disclaimer? You know how to do that. I know MUOS guys can do that. Disclaimer. If you encounter issues, if you find any problems, you can always take the SD card out and reflash it. You can save your games and your saves before you reflash it, and you can restore them afterwards. Do not worry. That way, nobody loses. Everybody wins. And this is the issue this device has made me aware of. People who are coming to this hobby are being forbidden from growing and learning, because we learn by making mistakes. I know young generations need instant gratification, and they are allergic to the idea of them being able to make mistakes. Oh my God, no, I'm perfect. I'm a perfect snowflake. I cannot make mistakes. I need the world to bend to me. Not just my will, myself. But among those, there are some who are worthy. There are some who want to learn. There are some who want to experiment, tweak things, see what happens. This device does not allow for that. The RedRarch Freedom toggle did not work for me, so MUOS would not allow me to do any of that, or any newcomer who wants to see what happens if I change this setting, or nope. And that is the issue I wanted to mention, apart from this mess with the Miniloong. Guys, please, let the kids grow. Let everybody do their thing, learn, and if worst comes to worst, we can always reflash our SD cards. Unless some evil SD card reader eats them up, which was my case. And still, I'm really grateful to software developers, from Steve, Tectoy Tinker, to Stensek. Oh, Stensek. He might never hear this, but I'm grateful for all these years, and I appreciate the effort, and I just hope perhaps one day we will get an updated version of DuckStation for Android, but yeah. And to all those guys who pestered Stensek and said nasty things about him and to him and were extremely annoying and disgusting, to those guys, I've got also something to tell you guys. You can eat it and for all I care. Yum. Now back to this stuff. I appreciate the developers. I really do. Some things developers do, especially those who work with closed software, such as MiniloongOS, no matter how much they write open source. Yeah, what's the repository? We don't even know which company is doing this, is making this stuff and committing these crimes. Here's the box. And there's no name for any company in the box. Yeah, it reads Miniloong here, but So what? Made in China. The short sides. Yeah, in the paperwork down here, inside this box, there's no name for any company, no email, no nothing. We don't know who made this. But I've got a nasty suspicion which I want to share with you because I know someone who owns one of those Miniloong Pocket, Mini, whatever, what's his face. And he also has a very, very interesting device. It's a tool called a colorimeter. It's a device that measures colors. And he applied the colorimeter to his device, the Miniloong what's his face, which has a similar colorway to this one. And he also measured these colors. Turns out the beige and the green are exactly the same in both devices. Exactly the same. Let me tell you, this green, I don't think it can happen by accident. They either use the same injection company, or maybe could it be that the same guys behind one of those devices are behind this one? I'm not sure. But it's quite intriguing and interesting. And I also want to tell you, you might have noticed, I'm not an average newbie user of this kind of devices. This one I mentioned before. I took the joysticks out and installed speakers facing front facing. This one also had 2 joysticks, but I wasn't using them, so I removed them and I soldered speakers to the audio jack, and I reconfigured the system and RetroArch so it would work. I tried doing so in LoongOS, great operating system. And yeah, LoongOS hates you if you remove the left joystick. It wants at least that joystick. You remove it, it will make your life miserable. I tried. And I'm using LoongOS in this device. Moto-san, arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much, Moto-san, for LoongOS. And yeah. So I'm not a newbie. I can fix stuff. I can change and modify stuff. And I wanted a device like this one without rotten pixels on the right. My unit has that issue, and the fix, I believe it was Gamma who made it, thank you again, my dude, did not work with this device, so I'm using an overlay system-wide. Well, it doesn't work in the front end, but yeah, it's one column of black pixels that will get rid of that issue. It's not ideal, but I was expecting this device to be better than this one, and it isn't. And it looks like Heligali are out of business, and this device is no longer in production and no longer for sale, which is a shame. This is a great device. I was hoping this one could be closer to this one than this kind of devices as stock. I was wrong. I really, really, really was wrong. The point I'm trying to make here is I would not have reached this point of being able to modify an operating system and make a device better for myself, for what I want to get out of that device. This device is great stereo sound blasting to my face. Yeah, I would have been unable to reach here if I had only used operating systems which restricted my choices, my freedom, my ability to try new things and experiment. I think it was Einstein who said something about making mistakes and learning stuff. You know, people who don't make mistakes, they don't only not get things wrong, they don't learn. We do learn by making mistakes. And this philosophy of not letting users change stuff to their liking is really hurting not just us who want to properly enjoy these devices, but people who want to learn about retro gaming and they want to see, hey, what if I use an LCD shader instead of a Scanline shader with a game that's supposed to be played on a TV? How would that look? For instance, for example, if you don't let them choose, if you don't let them do that, they won't even think about it. They will become dumber and dumber. Yeah, that's my worry. And I think not a lot of people have thought about that stuff. So instead of buying this, if you can, yeah, I would recommend you buy one of these. But if you find them, they will probably be extremely pricey. These, yeah, you could find them, but RK3566, 1 gig of RAM and 2 joysticks down here. You might argue the RGB30 is better, at least build quality wise, but I like this one too, and without the joysticks it slides in my shirt pocket pretty easily. This is a good buy if you find it for 60 or under, and I would say this one is also a reasonable buy for 60 or under, or it would be if it had a proper operating system that meets the bare minimum. Meaning, you can choose your cores and save your configurations, be it shaders, controls, you name it. Also, you can change the themes. Really, bare minimum. This one could do it, stock. Man! And also, a file explorer. Don't remove that from us. Let us have a look, let us understand what's going on. And by having a file explorer, you might not even have to add a theme switcher, because we could override the stock one. Just saying. I would also add Portmaster, but not as a bare minimum, instead as a nice to have. And those are 5 things. 4 bare minimum, 1 nice to have. Please, Mr. Developers, and specifically those behind LoongOS, don't do this to us. Let us do our thing, let us try, let us experiment, let us grow, let us learn, let us make our devices our own. We have already bought them. So, yeah. Instead of buying this, you could buy this. Yeah. Good stuff. And if you want to experiment, this is a great platform for making weird stuff. This one's got switch light buttons and yeah, this one's great. But this 130 euros for an extra D-pad, screen protector and a case with such a restrictive operating system that you have to try and bypass the operating system to properly use it. Makes no sense. But anyway, I don't want to digress any longer. So let's leave it at that. And you know, if you agree, disagree, or strongly dislike my voice or opinion or whatever, let me know. You know where, I guess. And yeah, the next video is about the RGDS. Yeah. In the meantime, be well.